Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to take this Callisia, I believe it's Elegans, pinstripe inch plant, really pretty. This one was in soil and not a good soil. It was in one of those little tiny 2-inch pots, and it started to grow, but lanky, and the more I forget to water it, because it's in such a small little pot, I kept losing leaves, it kept wilting. So I'm going to give it a bigger living space, and it's going to become part of the experiment with our polyester yarn. Pretty color, it's like a blue-gray. I have currently, I've just rinsed it out. I have maybe a couple of inches, 2 to 3 inches of water filled in so it wicks all the way up to the top. And this is how easy it is. I've already shown you guys this in other videos, but I figured why not take you along for the ride, okay? So take my cuttings. One of them is a cutting. This one here does not have any roots, as you can see, but that will root in no time. This other branch does have roots, so I'm just going to keep them together. And I'm going to make a little space on the inside. And I'm going to put these roots into there, tuck it in nicely, like that. Make sure that there aren't really many, if any, air pockets. As long as those roots and the stems are touching the moistened polyester yarn, we should be fine. So that's it. I'm going to keep this under lights. Probably this light here, it's daylight LED, because the rest of the yarn garden here is under that. This one was from last week, doing really well. This is the begonia that, now it's show and tell, guys, okay, in case you're wondering. This is the begonia that was a water propagation. It was growing a plant out of the base of the leaf up here. Still, the plant still growing nicely. The mother leaf is starting to wither a little, but that's okay. The petiole, the leaf stem, is still firm enough so it can hold that plant up. And we're getting lots of new leaves down here. You can see I'm getting close for you. And lots of new leaves. I don't see any roots showing on the bottom yet, but that's fine. I know that they will. But the plant didn't even wilt at all, okay? Did really well. So still hanging in there, still doing well. I don't even want to say hanging in there. It is thriving and growing. Look at all those leaves in there. I love that. I get so excited. Okay, so I'll put this one back. We're going to continue with the show and tell now. What else? Oh, I have a Pelita. This is the Secretia, or also Tradescantia. I'm not sure what genus it's in. This is a variegated purple heart, and in low light the leaves are greenish with white, cream, or very light pink variegation. You can see the variegation in these leaves. If it was under a bright light or full sun, it would be purple leaves with hot pink stripes. So I can't wait for that to happen. This one was in water. It was a water propagation. I took some cuttings out of another plant, a hanging planter, and I put it in some pretty yarn that would match some of the colors. And I believe there are roots showing through already. Where are they? Here they are. See those roots? Look at that. They're growing. They seem to be enjoying the polyester yarn. Yarn makes everything possible, right? So that's that one. Actually, let me take that down from here. I also have a really sad case. This was a parlor palm. Look at how sad these leaves look, right? This was in soil, started to rot, because that's just what happens down here with soil. It's kind of damp and humid and no air circulation at all. And I think that's one of the main reasons why soil plants don't do well down here. Upstairs in the other area where there's a lot of air circulation and a lot of natural light, anything that's in soil-based medium does fine. But down here, not so much. And this is where I do all my work. So I put this poor little thing into water first. Cleaned off the roots as best I could. Put it into water. It kind of froze and was stagnant. Wasn't growing, wasn't doing anything. So I said, all right, I need to ICU this baby. So I put it into some yarn in this jar. Not a pretty jar, it still has the glue on it. But look, we've got new leaves coming up. New leaves, new leaves. So there is hope for this one. Again, out of the soil. Actually, first I took it out of the soil and I put it in lava rock. The lava rock is where it started to rot. I think it was because I didn't clean off the roots well enough. Taking plants out of soil and into anything other than soil, you really have to clean them good. And these roots are so fine and fibrous that it's hard. It's not easy. And there were a lot of roots, very extensive root system. So in the lava rock, wasn't doing well. Took it out of the lava rock, rinsed it off, cleaned the roots multiple times, like maybe a couple times a week, because I didn't want this one to die, and put it in water. And that's when it got stagnant. Didn't do anything. It was kind of like in shock, but not anymore. Surprising. I was actually very pleasantly surprised that I've got some new leaf growth here. So I'm hoping that it has something to do with the yarn. We will find out, though. I will keep you guys posted. So that's that one. Next up, we have a golden pothos. This was a bunch of cuttings that were in water as well. And the water was getting dirty. You know, with pothos, it's so horrible. I'm such a horrible plant dad when it comes to plants like pothos, philodendron, because I just automatically assume, oh, they're fine, they're easy, you don't need to worry about them. And the water was getting so cloudy and gross because I wasn't paying attention to it. I was being bad. So I took it out, cleaned off the roots, trimmed off anything that was rotting because some of the roots were rotting, and I put it into the yarn, and we've got some root growth growing down into the yarn. You can tell this needs to be watered because there's condensation on the glass. This is just a regular glass. But there's no level of water, so I know that it's time to water this puppy. But we've got new roots there, roots looking good there, new branch there, down here, and never wilted once, never got wrinkly. The leaves look very healthy and shiny, and yeah, very exciting. Yarn with golden pothos. All right, next one up, Syngonium, another one of my favorites. This one was in, let's see, this one was in lava rock. I took it out of soil, put it in lava rock, but because Syngonium are so thirsty, I was watering the plant a couple times a week, okay? And for me, I prefer not to have to do that. And the great thing about putting them into yarn, and look at these roots. Look at the growth starting to happen in the yarn. Roots, all over the place in there. The great thing about putting it into yarn is since yarn holds such great moisture, has such great moisture retention capabilities, the way that I make the chains traps a lot of air pockets. It's not so dense, and you can see like down here, there's a big air space, but it's all very humid in there. So all those roots are just gonna go crazy in this area and all throughout. And the great thing about this, another great thing about the yarn, from what I've been noticing through this experiment, is when it starts to dry out, if you don't wait for the plant to wilt, because eventually it's gonna wilt like anything else, all you gotta do is I have one of those little squirt bottles, and I just squirt a little bit of water, and if it's not a brand new transplant, some water with nutrients into the yarn. It saturates the yarn immediately, and even if you don't have a little reservoir at the bottom, all the yarn is saturated. All the roots are going to be hydrated, and the plant won't even wither at all. So for something like Syngonium, this has helped me out because horticulture is easy with Syngonium. I mean, I have the really super duper big Regina Red I've shown you a couple of times, and that one did fine in plain water. It still is doing fine in water, but it's in a much bigger vessel. It's in a big, huge plastic vase that I can fill up with water, and I know that it's going to drink it down. But this one, such a small glass, and the root system is very extensive, so it was drinking it all up very quickly. All right, what else? The original Coleus, this one has been in yarn for months. Again, I always say 6, 7 months. I'm not exactly sure. I should have written down the date. It wasn't going to be part of this huge experiment, but when I realized how well it was doing, even though I was neglecting it, and that's why it lost the leaves down the stem. But now I'm going to make it into like a little standard. I already pinched the tips, the 2 growing tips here. It's thriving extremely well in the yarn. As you can see, the roots are still doing well. I just watered this because it was getting dry on top. It's just lightly damp. There's no reservoir of water in the bottom or feed, but it's doing just fine. It's doing great. So I'm very excited about that one, of course. And what else do we have? The wasabi coleus. This one has been in a couple of videos already. This one's starting to dry up a little bit, even though the roots are doing extremely well in here. You can see them. There's not a lot of yarn in here either. I kind of threw this in here in the yarn just because I needed a place to put it, and I didn't want to put it in water because, you know, I have water all over the place, water propagations everywhere. So I just threw it in here with just a little bit of yarn. It's just in a plastic cup. And of course it took off and it's rooted, and now it's starting to grow taller out of the cup because it was barely like out of the cup, but now it's growing nicely. That's that one. Let's see, what else, guys? Just a bunch of Coleus cuttings that I needed to stick into something, so I put it in some pretty yarn. These were just done yesterday. So because these were done yesterday, you can see right now, these are fresh cuttings. These have not wilted at all. No wilting. They're nice and firm and hydrated, and there's a bunch of different types in here. This one wasn't doing so well. This one was a tip cutting I took from a butterfly coleus, and it was in sphagnum moss, and the top was starting to get what looked like signs of root rot down below. So I cut the tip off and I stuck it in here, and we'll see what happens. It's not the healthiest cutting, and I normally would not recommend taking an unhealthy cutting and trying to propagate off of it because, as you know, it's already compromised and it's going to go into shock and all that stuff. So we'll see, though. We will see what happens, but most of these are just going to be completely fine. They already are adjusting, I could tell. They didn't show any signs of decline in any way. So that's that. So what else? Coleus, you guys already saw this one. This is a begonia that we had cutting. I show you this every week. I'll probably continue to show you every week just so you know that it's still alive and thriving and growing. And I gotta up the feed on this one a little bit because it seems to slow down a little bit. I'm not sure why, so I'm gonna give it some extra food. And again, I use I'm almost done with this round of AeroGarden liquid hydroponic fertilizer, so then I swap and I'll move to the MaxiGrow and see how that does with the yarn propagation, because usually I use the MaxiGrow in the lava rock or the leca, but now with the yarn we'll see how it works. I anticipate it to work out perfectly fine, but we will see. What else? Everything else is pretty much the same since last week, I guess. Nothing earth-shattering. I almost dropped this. Nothing earth-shattering going on. Here's a snake plant in the blue yarn. This one's drying up. You could see some beautiful root growth here, though, starting to peek through. Same with right there and up there. So the snake plant, Sansevieria, adjusted well, is spreading its roots, and I've been watering this, but I'm going to resume with some feed because I'm sure it's going to do great. And that's that one. And I think that's it for this video. I mean, there are a bunch of other ones I can show you, but you've already seen them and you probably saw them last week. I'll show you one last one. This is a very unusual Coleus that I had gotten as a cutting, and when I got it, it was just a stick cutting and maybe a bud and a bud, but there wasn't anything really growing. So I said, okay, putting it into some yarn, because I know that it's worked with so many other plants of mine. So I'm going to put it in the yarn. Sure enough, the branches started to grow, and look at these roots down here. Look at these roots going crazy. Can you see them? I hope you can see them. There you go. So they're going nuts. So this plant is already getting feed, even though the roots are not that huge. It's already getting feed. I know it can handle it. The yarn is working great. This is a great yarn too. It's very soft and very absorbent. I really like it. And the colors are really cool too. Yeah. One more. Okay, one more. Just one more. Oh, I just hit the camera. Sorry, guys. This is Bonnie Gold, Coleus. Really pretty leaves. Put in some purple yarn. Very dry. This is very, very dry right now. So I got to water this one ASAP. But you can see it holds just enough water, even when it's dry, that the plant has not yet shown signs of wilting. But very dry. Very, very dry. A little condensation right there, but you can see the yarn is not glistening with moisture. So I'm going to water this one before anything happens. But I'm telling you, the yarn makes everything so easy. Makes it so easy. I feel like I could do anything. All right, let me calm down. Anyway, that's all for this one. If you have any questions, I know there's some people who have been asking about certain plants, putting them into polyester yarn, asking some questions about that. Keep the questions coming if you want to experiment along with me. I don't want to, if you really, really love your plant, if I'm not there doing it with you, I don't want to, recommend that you start taking your plants and swapping them over to yarn. Because, I don't want anything to happen to your plants if you're doing something a little different than I am or whatever. But as you can see, I've had such great success here. So if you have any questions and you want to take matters into your own hands and transfer a plant or two or three or four or 17,000 like I do into polyester yarn or even nylon yarn, doesn't necessarily have to be polyester, but I do like the polyester yarn. As long as it's not wool, like nothing organic, it has to be something that is not natural, that won't rot. But yeah, if you want to do that and take matters into your own hands, got to just put a disclaimer out there because I don't want to be responsible for anybody doing weird things with their plants and them not being happy with it. But just reach out and I can just give you tips on what I do if you want to experiment along with me, all right? So again, share with your friends. Hit the bell if you want to be notified. Give a thumbs up if you just think this is fun and unusual and crazy and, it's not for everybody. Of course not. Not everybody. I'm not saying everybody grow your plants in yarn. Hurry up. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just experimenting, and I found something that I really enjoy that really looks cool. It's kind of pretty, and I started to put them all over the place now. And yeah, it's just something that I'm enjoying. So if you want to do the same sort of thing and experiment a little bit, just reach out. And I will get back to you. So share with your friends, thumbs up, all that good stuff. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And I will see you in the next video.